Hey guys, it's that time of year again when all of us start making vague promises about eating healthier, slowing down, running more, all starting in January, of course. Diet starts tomorrow is the joke in my household. And usually the diet does start, but it only lasts about a month before the usual bad habits take over the new. This year, I'm challenging myself and you guys to make better resolutions, to better yourself that are actually feasible. The list that I'm about to share is directed at refining your intellectual life specifically. These may be challenging, I'm sure they will be for me, but I think it is possible to achieve them with a little hard work and self-discipline. So pick one or two or however many you want to try and just give them a shot and see how far you can get in 2024 and beyond. The first challenge has to do with improving our reading. The simple challenge to read more is not enough for us. It's far too vague a goal. Because what does more entail? And does reading more mean reading better? What is the point of reading more if you aren't reading better? So my challenge for myself and for you is to read better. And by better, I mean with more intention, thoroughness, consistency, and care. To illustrate what I mean by this, I'm going to use my own personal New Year's resolution as an example. So in 2024, I'm challenging myself to read at least 2 books a month. One book will be something I've never read before, probably some kind of historical nonfiction or maybe a classic I've never picked up. Maybe something totally different, we'll see. The other book will be a reread. There is immense value in rereading your favorite books. Rereading heightens your appreciation of them, and it allows you to pick up new takeaways and develop new criticisms every time you read it. I do think that having favorite books and rereading them consistently is the mark of a true reader and a true appreciator of good literature. Also, if I knock off my 2 books per month before the month is over, I'll happily read something else of my choosing. I do tend to read more than 2 books per month, so we'll see how it goes. But the way in which I read these books is most important. I want my reading to be focused, not casual. I want to remember what I read and think deeply about it. To accomplish this, I'm going to develop some kind of note-taking and annotation system. I'll admit I've never been great at annotation. I'm a very fast reader, so even in university, I often failed to take notes on the books I was reading, unless the assignment absolutely required it. Undoubtedly, I would have retained more if I had slowed down to do so. So for me, developing these skills will be the most challenging part of this resolution. If you're going to consider doing something similar, I recommend mapping out your reading month by month. Think of 2 books you'd like to read in January, one fresh and one familiar, and write them down. If you've already got a working TBR list, then map out the remaining months of the year. If you're not sure what you'd like to read this year, do some research or watch some book rec videos on YouTube. I happen to have a few that you could check out. Then make sure you dedicate a notebook to your reading notes for the year. And consider investing in some sticky tabs, highlighters, and annotation pens to aesthetically mark up your reads. Another resolution is to challenge ourselves to learn a new subject or experience a new genre. Though we all have our own intellectual comfort zones, it's important to branch out of what we are familiar with in order to become more well-rounded individuals. So this year, I want to challenge myself to read more biographies. In the past, I've thoroughly enjoyed reading about the lives of significant historic individuals, but lately, very few biographies have been on my radar. I just don't come in contact with them that often, and I don't get recommended biographies that often, and so it's very rare that I actually sit down and read one. So I plan to research and write down a list of biographies by respected historians to tackle this year. If you have any recommendations for really great biographies, let me know. I do want to get into Walter Isaacson's biographies, especially of Da Vinci and Benjamin Franklin, who were both very creative, intellectual individuals. I also want to improve my geography knowledge. I've never taken an official geography course, at least at the university level, honestly probably not even since middle school. But I do have a fascination with maps, and I have memorized all the UN recognized states in the past few years. And so I'm looking forward to actually making time to continue studying maps via online simulations, and also do some independent research into the history of cartography, or the process of making maps, which I find fascinating. This second resolution will look different for everyone. If you're like me and you've primarily studied the liberal arts, maybe you should challenge yourself to brush up on some STEM skills, like computer coding or diet and exercise skills. I know the prospect is kind of intimidating. I can't picture myself restudying chem, biology, physics, which I did study in high school because I had planned on becoming a nurse before I realized that my love of history would never leave me alone if I did so. And my love of literature would haunt me in the hospitals. But I still think it's a really good challenge to try to become more well-rounded in terms of your knowledge and understanding of things in the world. Or maybe if you're a keen reader but never really engage with the visual arts, you could try teaching yourself to paint or sketch or get into photography or videography, maybe even carving or clay sculpting. Once in a while I will pick up a paintbrush and do a watercolor painting, and every time I do I think, why don't I do this more often? It's so relaxing, and if you pour yourself a glass of wine, turn on some music, maybe you're working with some friends and you're all painting, it's so gezellig, as we say in Dutch. Cozy, atmospheric, and just comfortable and enjoyable. Collaging is one thing that I do quite regularly, and I tend to make homemade cards for my friends and family, and it's all via the collage medium. So those are a couple ideas for you as well. Another thing, maybe if you only read classics, speaking to myself here, you could challenge yourself to pick up something more contemporary, a recently published book. Or vice versa, if you only read trending contemporary books, maybe you could pick up a classic this year. I could go on and on and on about this, but ultimately each of you understands what challenges you best. So I'll leave it up to you to figure out this resolution. I will say that if you do decide to challenge yourself this way, you might want to look into an online course, watch videos by experts, borrow books from the library, or just talk to people who have some knowledge in the area that you're only just getting acquainted with. I think that would really help. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm moving around my house so much. I'm just so excited about this new space and all the different angles and shots I can get for filming my videos. Anyways, this is my little Christmas reading space, and I just gave away that there's no coffee in this mug. Awesome. Okay, so third resolution is to set aside time, whether daily, weekly, or monthly, whatever you can manage, to fulfill those intellectual and creative pursuits that you've just never made time to do. Believe me, I understand what that's like. So this year, I want to prioritize my writing. Thus, I am going to plan my week so that certain days are set aside to work on my novel and my other writing projects. I'm also planning a creative retreat with a close friend of mine who is super into the visual arts. We hope to spend a long weekend sometime in the new year, probably February, bunkered down in a little remote cabin somewhere, just working on our projects together in that comfortable silence. I get that we're all busy people, but I'm starting to realize that busyness isn't a virtue. So I want to challenge you all to slow down if possible and take time to pursue the activities that fulfill your intellectual and creative longings and that aren't just to make money, even though obviously making money is important and I deal with that pressure and stress every day of paying the bills and providing for myself and my husband and our future family. But there's a difference between working to provide and working to just get ahead for the sake of getting ahead or the sake of obtaining luxury or things that you don't actually need to live a satisfying life. When that happens at the expense of growth and self-fulfillment in terms of intellectual and creative pursuits, if you are a person who needs those things, then I just don't think that the grind is worth it necessarily. Personally, I find that I am the best version of myself and can better love and serve those around me, my family, my friends, people I work with at my job, when I am creatively satisfied. And so that is why I am going to try to prioritize my creative pursuits this year. My fourth and final resolution is to get outside your typical learning space and interact with cultural institutions that exist, quite literally, to help you grow. In most cities and even some smaller towns, there are museums, art galleries, theaters, music halls, and other cultural institutions there for your use, there to give you a cultural, intellectual, and creative experience. So I recommend that you look into what's near your home, what's in your home city. And if there's something that interests you, set a goal for yourself to visit that place this year. If there are many places that appeal to you, set a goal to visit one per month, or one every 2 months, or whatever is manageable. If what's local doesn't interest you, then consider being intentional about making trips to go a little farther away to visit places that do interest you and will help you grow. The point is this: the institution you visit should fascinate you, and you should be genuinely keen on going there. Don't force it. So one of my goals for this year is to visit the Royal Ontario Museum and also the Art Gallery of Ontario. Both of these places are located in Toronto. That's about an hour and a half drive if traffic is good, which it never is from where I live. So that'll take some dedication and some intention to get me there. I will have to make a special trip out of it, but with a little bit of effort, I do think it will be possible for me to go and enjoy these exhibits, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can learn from that. So that's all I have for this year's resolutions to refine your intellectual life. Let me know if you're planning on setting any of these for yourself, or if you have your own ideas and resolutions of how to challenge yourself intellectually and creatively this year. I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say. I'm sure there will be some criticism of some of my ideas, but hopefully there were some positive takeaways for you guys in this video. And I wish you all the best 2024. And again, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing for New Year's and what kind of resolutions you're setting for yourself, so please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. And one last thing, don't forget to check out my Substack, which will have the written version of this video if you're interested in that. And I post a lot of different things on there: literary reviews, just personal reflections and essays. So check out A Midsummer Autumn on Substack if you have time. I would really appreciate it.